not subscribed to our channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button as shown above. Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. In today's video, we will try to understand certain things about a person's personality using just the sun and the moon in his birth chart. So just by looking at the sun and the moon, you can make simple predictions which reveal the complete personality of an individual. So let us begin. Now suppose I want to understand what a person is predominantly thinking all the time or almost most of the time. What is he thinking about? What am I going to do? First thing is I am going to see where the moon is placed in his birth chart. Why is this so? Because the moon represents our mind, it represents our feelings, it represents our emotions. So for example, look at this chart and you can see the moon is placed in the sign of Capricorn or Makar. So first thing is, now you know where the moon is placed. Next, you need to understand the characteristic of the sign where the moon is placed. Now let us understand the characteristic of Capricorn. So Capricorn or Makar is the natural 10th house of the zodiac belt. And what does this sign represent? It represents status, it represents the public, it represents the government, it represents economy, it represents hard work, because this sign is ruled by Saturn. So just by looking at the moon here, first thing I understand is this person is very much concerned about his status in society. He is also concerned about the work he is doing, the work environment he is placed into. He has a lot of anxiety because the moon is placed in Capricorn. Next thing what I am going to do is, I am going to look if there is any planet present with the moon. So suppose Saturn is present with the moon here in Capricorn. Then what happens? Then there is a Vishyog formed. The person faces a lot of challenges, lot of anxiety in life. He is always worried about his work, his progress, how people view him in life and in his work environment. And to a large extent, Saturn brings some negative emotions to the moon. So there is also a negative attitude to life when Saturn is present with the moon here. If Rahu was present with the moon, the person would be obsessed with something related to the government, the economy, or his work environment. Similarly, if Ketu was present here, the person would feel detached from his work environment. He would not feel happy about his work, but he would also be very spiritual. In this example, I am just assuming the person has a Gemini ascendant, and therefore Capricorn becomes his 8th house, which represents occult, which represents healing, which also represents spirituality and transformation. Now, suppose there was no planet with the moon is alone in the sign of Capricorn, say. Look at the signs before and after Capricorn. So what is the sign before Capricorn? You can see the sign is Sagittarius or Dhanu, and you can see a planet called Shukra or Venus is placed there. What is the sign after Capricorn? It is Aquarius or Kumbh, and Ketu is placed in Aquarius or Kumbh. And now this person is born with a Gemini ascendant. So what is this person predominantly thinking about most of the time? Now first, let us look at the planet just ahead of the moon. So we will look at Ketu, who is placed in Aquarius. Now what does Ketu represent? Ketu is in the 9th house in this case, that is 9th house from the ascendant. And therefore this 9th house represents spirituality, it represents dharma. And Ketu represents certain good deeds done in the past life. So in the past life, this person has done lot of meritorious deeds, lot of spiritual deeds, because of which Ketu is present there in the sign of Aquarius. So on one hand, this person has a lot of spiritual thinking. He thinks a lot about God, he thinks a lot about religion, he has his own set of beliefs. Now look at the sign just before Capricorn. It is the sign of Dhanu where Shukra is placed. And what does Shukra or Venus represents? Venus represents comforts. Venus represents love. Venus is the way we view things in our life. And Shukra also represents lust, desire, sexual attitude. Okay, so the person on one side is drawn towards spirituality and God. On the other side, he is also drawn towards comforts, beautiful things, and sensual objects. So, for this person, the test in this life is he should be drawn more towards spiritual progress, more towards his spiritual goals than towards sensual objects. So, in this chart, Shukra is actually a distraction for the person. Being the seventh house from the Gemini ascendant, the person gets a beautiful spouse. So his mind may be occupied with thoughts regarding his spouse, regarding his girlfriend. And at one point, his mind will also be occupied with thoughts regarding religion, spirituality, visiting temples, places of religious importance. So just by looking at the moon, you can understand what this person thinks about most of the time. And in this example, I have just shown you Ketu and Shukra before and after the moon. Similarly, you can extrapolate this principle to other planets placed with the moon or before and after the moon. For example, let us say Mars is placed with the moon in Capricorn. Now Mars gets exalted in Capricorn and therefore the moon represents strong vibes from Mars. But what does Mars represent? Mars represents anger, Mars represents hasty decisions, Mars represents direct action. So when the moon is placed with Mars in Capricorn, you can say that this person takes a lot of hasty decisions. At the same time, in his work also, he is very aggressive. He thinks aggressively about his work, about government, about the economy. And on a status front also, people view him as very aggressive, someone who is very goal oriented. Now you can extend this principle further by looking at the nakshatra in which the moon is placed, the nakshatra in which the planets before and after the moon are placed, and you can get more insight into what the person really thinks about. Now often in a person's life, the person commits a lot of mistakes, and these mistakes the person does not want other people to know about. So he keeps this as a secret. How do you understand this? Just by looking at the moon. Now look at the sign 8th from where the moon is placed. So in this example, moon is placed in the sign of Capricorn. And 8th sign from where the moon is placed is Leo or Sinha. So Leo or Sinha is the sign where this person has his secrets which he does not want anyone to know. So the 8th house from where the moon is placed, you have to count the square where the moon is placed as the first house. So the 8th house from where the moon is placed will tell you what are the secrets and what mistakes this person has committed, and he does not want it to be revealed to anyone. Now let me give you a simple example. In the sign of Leo, suppose you have Mars and Rahu present. Now Leo is the third from the ascendant and therefore it represents neighbors, it represents siblings. What is the sign of Leo? The sign of Leo is all about power, authority, leadership. It is ruled by the sun. So in this person's life, he has committed some mistake related to his siblings, related to his neighbors. In fact, because Mars and Rahu are present in the sign of Leo, you can straightforward predict that you had a fight with some of your neighbors or your siblings. And this is something you never want to speak about, never want to reveal to the public. Now, because this sign is Leo, it also means that the neighbor or the sibling with whom he had a fight is a powerful person, is a person of authority. Now, if suppose in the sign of Leo, with Mars and Rahu, we had Jupiter also, then what happens? Now, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is a guru, Jupiter is a teacher. Mars and Rahu conjunction talks about a fight. So, in your past life, you had a fight with your guru, you had some misunderstandings with your guru. Straightforward, you can predict this. So, what is the consequence of that? In this life, you will get very aggressive teachers. You might get violent teachers also when you have Guru Mars Rahu in the sign of Leo and Moon in Capricorn. So, there is a depth towards Guru. You have done some mistake related to Guru, Jupiter, or teacher, and therefore, in this life, you should respect your teachers and you should correct that mistake. Similarly, you can extrapolate this principle to the other planets and other signs also. Remember, the 8th house from the moon tells what mistakes you have committed and you want to hide from the general public or people. Now, another important thing in life is what exactly does your mind desire? What exactly is your desire? And if that desire is fulfilled, you will feel very happy. In that case, look at the 9th house from where the moon is placed. In this case, the moon is placed in Capricorn or Makar, and the 9th house from where the moon is placed is the sign of Kanya or Leo. So, if you pray to the Lord of the 9th house from where the moon is placed, your mind's desire will materialize into reality. So, example, you are not getting a job, okay, and you pray to the Lord of the 9th house from where the moon is placed, that desire will fructify based on the effort you put in praying to that Lord, and also based on which dasha, antardasha is going on at that time. So, if you have any deep desire within you and that is not getting fulfilled, pray to the Lord of the 9th house from where the moon is placed. Now, in this case, the Lord of the 9th house from where the moon is placed is the Lord of Virgo or Kanya. And Lord of Virgo or Kanya is Mercury. And the deity of Mercury is Lord Vishnu. So, praying to Lord Vishnu, chanting Vishnu Sahasranam on a regular basis, chanting the mantras of Lord Vishnu, that will fulfill the desire in your mind, provided the right dasha, antardasha comes. Now, one more secret, the 4th house and 10th house from where the moon is placed always indicates fluctuations in your chart. So, in this case, the 4th house from where the moon is placed is Aries. And Aries for this person is the 11th house from the ascendant, which means that this person's income will always fluctuate. You can put a planet in the sign of Aries, that will give a separate effect, but overall his income will fluctuate. Now, you might have a question in your mind, why will the 4th house from the moon indicate fluctuations? See, moon rules the natural 4th house of Cancer in the zodiac belt, and therefore the 4th house from the moon carries all the qualities of the moon. The moon also waxes and wanes, and therefore the 4th house where the moon is placed, that will also wax and wane. So, in this case, the income of the person will fluctuate because the 4th house from the moon is the sign of Aries. Similarly, the 10th house from where the moon is placed will show what kind of actions you want to do in life, what work you want to do in life. And like the moon waxes and wanes, these thoughts will also always fluctuate. So, this person will never have a consistent view about what exactly he wants to do in his life. Now, Libra is the sign of partnerships, it is the sign of balance. So, this person desires to partner with someone for his work, but he will never have a steady view about his career. His mind will always fluctuate. Now, let me deviate slightly from the topic because we are talking of what work a person wants to do. But what is the work that will really give happiness to the person? For that, you have to look at the 10th house from where Jupiter is placed. So in this example, I have taken Jupiter in Pisces. Look at the 10th house from where Jupiter is placed. It is the sign of Dhanu or Sagittarius. And there you can see Venus placed, that is Shukra is placed there. And therefore, if this person does some business in partnership with his spouse or with his loved one, then he will get more success in life, is what this shows. And he will also be very happy in life if he partners with his spouse. So, doing the profession related to the planet placed in the 10th house from Jupiter or the sign 10th from Jupiter will give you real happiness in life. It may not give you a lot of money, but it will definitely give you lot of happiness, because Jupiter is positivity, Jupiter is optimism, Jupiter is all the auspiciousness and happiness in life. And 10th from Jupiter is the karma of Jupiter. It is that karma which will bring you happiness in life. Now the 6th house from where the moon is placed tells you what your mind considers as an obstacle, as an hurdle, as a barrier, and it also tells you what kind of service you want to do for the society. So in this case, Gemini is the 6th house from where the moon is placed. And therefore, the signification of planet placed in Gemini tells you the kind of obstacle you will face or something which your mind considers as a barrier or an obstacle. For example, if Saturn is placed in the sign of Gemini and Gemini rules communication, Gemini rules speech, Gemini rules the media, marketing. So when Saturn is placed here, you will find it difficult to engage in marketing, to engage in free speech, to engage in easy communication with others. So the 6th house from the moon tells you what you consider as a barrier, an obstacle, an hurdle, an enemy. And even the planet placed in the 6th house from the moon, its significations will be most challenging for you to face in life. Now I don't want to make this video too lengthy, but I will definitely talk about the sun also. Let us say the sun is placed in the sign of Cancer. Now what is Cancer? Cancer is the natural 4th house in the zodiac belt. So when sun is placed in the sign of Cancer, Cancer represents nurturing, Cancer represents motherly love. And with the sun here, it means you will get a mother who is extremely independent, who is extremely powerful. But the relationship between you and your mother will not be very smooth. Mother will not believe in you much. She will take her own independent decisions. So whenever you see sun in Cancer, you will always get that kind of mother who is very independent, who takes her own decisions, and who will not relate much to you. She will be very bold, she will be very independent, but she will not believe much in you. She will take her own decisions. Now what happens when sun is placed in the 10th house? Let us say sun is placed in the natural 10th house of Capricorn. Now what is Capricorn? Capricorn, as I said, is the sign of hard work. It is the sign of public. It is the sign of people. And what is sun? Sun is a king. And what is the king's duty? The king has to work for the benefit of his subjects. So whenever you see sun in Capricorn, it means that person has to do a lot of hard work by intermingling with the common people. If he does not work for the common person, then he is going to suffer a lot in his life. Now, wherever the sun sits in your chart, it will always illuminate that house, meaning everyone will know everything about that house. So, if the sun is placed in Capricorn, every detail related to your work environment, your work is known to the public. And therefore, it is very important that you work for the common man, for the benefit of the common man. If you only work for influential people, then you are going to fall down in life when you have Sun in Capricorn. Now, what happens when Sun is in the sixth house or Sun is in the sign of Virgo? Now, what is Virgo or the sixth house? It is the sign of conflicts. It is the sign of diseases. It is the sign of hurdles, obstacles. It is also the sign of daily routine. So, when a planet like Sun goes in Virgo or in the sixth house from your ascendant, then this person has to be a problem solver. He has to solve the problems that are given to him. He has to work for the benefit of people. Virgo is also the sign of healing. So, this person has to associate himself with healing or solving the problems of the common man, and it is then that he finds true peace. So, friends, I am keeping this video short, and I hope you have understood how to predict certain things simply by looking at the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter in your chart. So friends, if you like this video, please mark it as liked on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button. For any queries, please write to us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com, and we'll be glad to assist you. To know more about us, visit our website astroseva.tripod.com. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe. We'll see you soon with another video.